Okay, so every time I go back into a part of my life where I feel like a little bit too comfortable, I always default back to make videos. There's something I want to show, and it's my hobbies. Hi, my name is Andres. I have a lot of hobbies, and I will document every single hobby that I have from now on. I think it's been like 4 years since I was introduced into climbing. One of my very, very best friends, Andreas, he was showing me like, oh, maybe you should join us to climb. I feel like everyone goes through this. Like at the beginning you're hooked, but not enough to pay like a full subscription for a gym. So 2 years ago, I arrived to the city. I signed first week, I signed up for the gym and I started climbing. 2-3 times per week. Second month, you already guessed it, I got an injury. Pulling from a crimp, I felt a full like pop from my wrist, and I couldn't lift the glass. So I had to go to the physiotherapist for the first time. And because of this, I started tracking everything about my pain. But because of the tracking and because I did the exercises that the physiotherapist gave me and because I was consistent, I healed pretty fast. And because of this journey, I started tracking more and more stuff because I didn't want to get there again, right? I didn't want to get into the injury point where, oh, I have to stop trying that hard and things like that. And I was a little bit annoyed at this, right? But the cool part is that suddenly I started to get stronger. And because of this, I started to get new gear. And because of this, I started to research more. And I started to log more things into my notes app. And because Obsidian has all these plugins, I started to put like little buttons to put like, oh, today I feel like a 5. And then I would click 5 times instead of like writing date, pain, area, right? I did everything in Obsidian and I was so fast, and it was while climbing. At some point I started logging some of my projects. So it was like, oh, this project, it took me 3 attempts, 5 attempts, 7 attempts. I don't know how to explain it perfectly, but the thing is, climbing is the only physical activity that has gotten me aware of my fingers, my muscles, my tendons. And when something gets like that granular, that specific, I get very into it. Okay, so let me tell you how it works. I always start in the climbing launchpad, right? The climbing launchpad is just a node where I have links to all my dashboards, links to all the things that I can do. What can I do from this launchpad? I can create a new solo session, I can create a new social session, a new training session. I can create a monthly review if I want like a full stat from that. I'm still working on the goals though. Whenever I start a new solo session, I have multiple options. I can add, if I want to log a boulder problem, I can add it, and the boulder problems has multiple options of like what color or what grade, because it also handles found grades, and it also handles V grades, and you can say that it's a V5, you can select whatever grade you want. You can also add board problems, so you can select things from moon boards, kilter boards, tension boards. You can also add warm-up. Normally warm-ups are like big bulks of climbing that you do in very low levels that can allow like batch input, so it doesn't get counted into the final dashboards, right? So it's not like your flash rate is going to be 85% just because you do a bunch of V0s, right? And then you can also add training exercises. For example, if in the warm-up you did like some half cream block pulls, then you can add that, because that counts as like part of your rehab, or that counts as part of your warm-up. You can also add a project. So for example, if the boulder or the board climb was too difficult, you can add it as a project. When you add it as a project, you can select all of the previous settings, like what grade, where it was, what gym, and everything. So there's going to be a folder of projects where you can access to every single project, and every single project has a picture. That is very cool. That's one of my favorite features, to be fair. Lower in the node, you can see log a tweak. So if your pain was unusual for normal sessions, I would 100% log a tweak. So then I can select like how much it hurts, how much did it linger, what part of the body was affected, what section of that part of the body, if it was your hands, if it was your fingers. I have the names of every pulley and all those things. Just to be sure that when I go to a professional, I know exactly what to say. I can tell them and they can correct me. Then at the end of that session note, I can always put like what amount of energy I had at the beginning of the session and how beat I was at the end. This controls like how much of the body load did I take, and that also counts like how long the session was and what gym it was at, and if I did a board climbing or not. And everything goes to the dashboard. I have multiple dashboards where I can analyze the data. So for example, I have a general view where I can check energy, pains, finger strength. Then I have a board climbing special dashboard where I can see which problems in each one of the apps for board climbing, which one became a project, which one did I send, which one did I flash. And this gets computed into grade calibration. What does this mean? Grade calibration is basically how much do I send, how much do I flash, how many attempts did it take, right? And based on my kilter board performance, I can find like what does every single color of random gyms mean. You can choose how sandbagged or how featherweight the entire thing is. You can always go for a V17 even if you climb a V3, right? But if you're gonna continue trying that, you're probably gonna get into trouble. The thing about grade calibration is that there is different gyms, there is different route setters, there is different human beings, right? And sometimes for some beginners, it can be very discouraging. For these cases, grade calibration is the solution for how much can I climb without getting any injuries, right? The dashboard of injuries shows a couple of things. It shows if you're ramping up too fast. Of course, all of this depends on how honest you are with the data. If you say that, oh, this is probably like a 0 and then your finger hurts a lot, then the data cannot tell you a lot. But the more honest you are with your data, the better results you're gonna get. You can also track the projects. You can also track if they were removed before you could complete them. You can actually track the styles that you're sending the most in case that you're a beginner that doesn't know what style you are, which is super, super rewarding, because then if I want to train something that is not my style, it's very easy to pinpoint it, right? Instead of saying like, oh, but is this overhang, is every overhang my style? Is this not my style at all just because it has a pinch, you know? So all of that is easy to see if you have a visual reference. You can see all of your training data, and you can actually track what part of the body you're training the most, which one are you not training at all. Basically, you can follow the process of your mindset towards your training. By the way, like if you're already following me in my Patreon, that complete app is for free. I feel that this app was my unintentional no app solution. I didn't want to pay for any other apps. At some point I considered buying a smartwatch, but smartwatches, they will scratch against the wall, but I like the tracking part of it. During the videos you will see that different disciplines from my hobbies require different kinds of tracking, so I've done different systems for everything. I have a full tracker for manga and books in my style, and it's all open source, so you can take it, you can modify it however you want. Right now, the app works for me and for my needs, but if you grab it and you want me to update it, you just have to comment. Just so you know, the app has this and this bug. There will be a section in the Discord where you can actually talk to me. So it's easy for me to maintain this app, and if not, more people will get involved, and that's just a thing for the future. Keep an eye out and follow me in this climbing journey that I have, and also like the rest of my hobbies. More hobbies are coming, and I will show you everything that I have planned for those. See you later.